Hello, hello, ladies, mamas, single mothers, soon to be mothers, single fathers, soon to be single fathers, haters that hate single mothers. Whatever, what's up? How you doing? I appreciate you tuning into my live stream. I'm supposed to be doing podcasts daily, but I just got a lot going on. I'm very busy. I work a lot, I do a lot of things, and I try to keep up with my YouTube channel as much as I can, but just know that I'm supposed to do audios every day. It's supposed to be posted. My The God Going Live podcast. It is podcasted, broadcasted on Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. But I usually post the God Queen Live podcast here on my YouTube channel every day. And then Sundays, I usually do like my regular uploads. Sundays at 9 a.m. For the most part, I've been trying to follow that schedule and stick to it, but sometimes it can be very hard because, of course, I'm one of those moms that is very connected to my kids and my life offline. My life offline is very private to me, it's very important to me, and I had to like really divide it because before I used to feel comfortable enough with sharing my little 20% of my life, but I really had to reduce it down to a much smaller percentage of my life. And so I've been kind of just trying to live my life, and it's hard to live my life if I'm consistently focused on the internet. And so I do want to, give people some advice, take a break from the internet sometimes, and get off the grid for a little while and spend time with your family and your friends and stuff like that. And so anyway, I want to talk about single motherhood. Of course, single motherhood is the topic of my channel now. Single parenting in general. I'm not just going to make content for single mothers, but I'm also going to make content for single fathers as well. It's a lot of baby daddy world, just like it's a lot of baby mamas out there. It's a lot of people who are, just trying to take care of their children, trying to co-parent with each other and deal with the changes of the situation. It's going to be content I post for stepmoms up here as well. And so, stepmoms and stepdads are very important. It takes a lot for, someone to see a person that has a child, and step in without any hesitation and show love for that child because they love the person that they're involved with. And that's very important. And just because a person has a child, doesn't mean that person can't be a good partner for you. It doesn't mean that their children are going to automatically like you. It doesn't mean that that person is still in love with the person that they had a child by. A lot of times when people divorce, they're done. A lot of times when people break up, they're done, whether they have children or not. So each experience and each person is different, and I just want everybody to keep that in mind. And so anyway, what's really important that I want people to understand is that single motherhood, right? When women choose this, a lot of women, when a lot of women choose to be a single mother, okay, it's not an irresponsible choice. It's like a conscious decision. Okay, women are not out here purposely, like not a lot of women. It's not a lot of women purposely out here being single mothers. You understand what I'm saying? They're not purposely out here trying to get pregnant by some guy so they could be a single mom. Okay, a lot of single moms, most single moms fell in love with the guy that they were with. They had a relationship or marriage, and the relationship or marriage didn't work out, so now they're a single mom. It is not an irresponsible choice to go ahead and have a baby, even though you find yourself in a situation where you and this person are no longer together. A lot of people think because two people who decided to no longer be together should also decide to give a child up for adoption or give a child up or do abortion. I know for me, I was so concerned about my son having both of his parents, I forgot who I was, the power that I had myself. Because my oldest daughter is 19 and she's always had both of her parents, right? You guys have seen just the other day I posted a video of me, her, and her dad out together at the Santa Cruz Boardwalk Beach. And we have a great co-parenting relationship, you know what I mean? And I are great. So I wanted my son to be able to have that same thing. Now, it's a lot of women out here that don't take the time to have the conversation with men that they're in a relationship with about children. But I was one of those women that actually sat down and had the conversation with the guy I was dating about children. And we did plan on having children. But my son came a lot earlier than we planned. And just because my son came a lot earlier than we planned doesn't mean we jumped ship. We just revised the plan. And so instead of my son's father revising the plan, he just decided to skip out. And that was his choice for him. That was a choice someone broken made. Now, just because someone made this broken decision doesn't mean that I have a broken family now. It means that broken man has dismissed himself and allowed me to create a healthy environment for my son. All of the negative perspectives around single parenting and single mothers and single fathers doesn't have to be that way. Your perspective of reality or these situations don't have to be positive. You're choosing for them to be negative. So when people say stuff like single motherhood is an irresponsible choice, that is a negative perspective as far as the situation goes. When you can look at it as it's a conscious decision that you had to make. Because here's my thing. Would you want to? These are the two choices that you have to make when you're realizing that you're pregnant. If you've never been pregnant before, I'm going to tell you what you're thinking because I've been pregnant twice. I'm going to tell you what I was thinking. In my mind, I had two choices. Okay. I could choose to have an abortion and live with the regret of aborting a child after I spent all of those years trying to have a child and I couldn't have a child. I was trying to have a child with better men. I was trying to have children with guys that wanted to marry me, guys who had already purchased rings and houses and cars and stuff for me, men who had already committed themselves to me, but they wanted children and I couldn't provide that for them. So fertility was an issue for me. Okay. I tried to have children before and I couldn't. So the choice that I had as far as my son justice goes was I had two choices. I could have an abortion and live with the regret, or I can give my son a chance at life and have more faith in myself as a mother. Okay? Because I wasn't going to sit here and abort a child or put a child up for adoption simply because his father made a poor choice. Now, a lot of people think because I call my channel Single Mom Life, that must be me celebrating children, that don't have both of their parents, or I'm going to promote to other single women that being a single mom is responsible because the title of this is you know it's not an irresponsible choice, right? That's what a lot of people just automatically assume. They're automatically thinking I'm out here like team be a single mom. No, what I'm saying is you got to turn lemons into lemonade. You can't sit here and be upset because things didn't go as planned. If you did that with everything in life, you'd just be literally fucked. You would want to have killed yourself by now. You understand what I'm saying? Because even with the 40 years that I've been living in this world, so many things don't go as planned. Like so many things happen and take us off course so much. If I thought the world was coming to an end every time something didn't go as planned, I would literally be in a straitjacket. All of us. I would literally be somewhere that's depressed. Sarita Gamble, you said, I have a child out of wedlock and I wish that I waited. I obeyed and gave my child a better life. That's not irresponsible. So you rather had killed your child? I mean, what was irresponsible about your choice, Sarita Gamble, is that you, for some reason, didn't want children, okay? And maybe you did want children one day, but you didn't want children right then. So instead of you using protection, which was much cheaper than having a child, you could have got you on some birth control, you could have used a condom, any of those things. That was the irresponsible thing you did. Choosing to give your child life isn't an irresponsible thing. But your previous actions before that were irresponsible. I can agree. But like I tell everybody who ends up in a situation to where maybe they have a child that they didn't want, or, and it's rare that women feel that, but some women feel that way. They have a child that they didn't want. Maybe they feel like they aren't prepared as a parent. Maybe they feel like they want their child to grow up in a two-parent home. It could be a number of things, because that's what I wanted for my son. I wanted my son to have two parents because I felt like that's what he deserved. And of course, um, my daughter grew up with both of her parents. He and I wasn't together, but she had both of her parents, and he and I are very cordial. I wanted that for my son as well. But I wasn't going to not give my son a chance at life to see, that there's a possibility. Like it's a 50-50 chance. There's a risk. You know, is he going to grow up and be a good person without his dad? Or is he going to grow up and be, a menace to society? Like single, a lot of men have grown up in single parent homes and end up becoming it. So these are two things that I had to really, really think about. And these were things that were on my mind. So that lets you know I wasn't as irresponsible as a lot of people think, because during my pregnancy, I a lot of things ran through my mind. I was like revising an entirely different plan than the plan I had before. And part of my plan was I needed to do the best thing I could in order to create an atmosphere or environment for me to have a healthy thought process. If I needed to take counseling, that's what I did. If I needed to take parenting classes, that's what I would do. So that's what I'm saying for women who may feel like they are equipped with what it is that they need in order to be a good mother or be a good, you know, parent. Go out there and get what you need. You know what I mean? Go out there and get it. And I also had to factor in that I didn't have to like create a father for my son. Okay? Because my son could be influenced by other positive male role models in his life. And at first, I didn't value the other males in my life or that could possibly be in my son's life, because I kept saying, without his father, it's just not going to be, enough. You know what I mean? When in reality, like I've said before, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes mom, dad, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, cousins, all good, positive role models in order to take care of a child. You understand what I'm saying? So I was like, I can't devalue the uncles and the brothers and the grandparents and the godparents and the male cousins and stuff, because these people are needed as well. So just because his father decided to skip out doesn't mean I should take my son's life. You know what I mean? And have an abortion. It just didn't make it just didn't seem fair to me to choose that for my son. I just wanted to give my son a chance at life. So choosing single motherhood on purpose. Now it's women out there that do that. Like, you can get on Google right now. It's plenty of support groups for women who have chose to be a single mother on purpose. Maybe it has something to do with their career. Maybe they haven't found the right partner, and it's like more acceptable in other races of women. Like, I think the African American community has a problem with women going out here being single mothers on purpose. But for the most part, there are women out there who are financially stable and they go and be a single mother on purpose because they can't find the right partner. So they get artificially inseminated, or they get surrogates. They do what they do because they want children. And this is what I want single mothers to do: have a little bit more confidence in yourself. Or if you're pregnant and you're trying to figure out whether you want to have an abortion or not, or you're trying to figure out whether it was irresponsible for you to raise a child on your own or something like that, you have to have a lot more confidence and faith in yourself, even when other people try to look at your situation and compare it to other people's. See, each person's situation is different. Not everyone has the same situation. So if one person had a negative experience as a single parent, doesn't mean another one will. Like, some people are just bad parents, whether they're married or not. Some people have drug problems. Some people have alcohol problems. Some people are violent. Some people lack all types of patience. It's people out there who aren't financially in a good place. I mean, there are a number of things that could classify a person not suitable to be a parent. We got people out there that's like that. But on the same token, we also have people out there who are genuinely good people. There are genuinely women out there who are awesome mothers, and their sons turned out to be really good, and their daughters turn out to be really good. So don't automatically assume because a person is raising a child alone that that child is going to turn out to be a bad person. No, it just depends on what kind of parent that person is. It doesn't mean just because it's one parent that it's going to be a messed up situation all across the board. No, if the person is a good parent, it's just going to be a good parent. So do I feel like choosing to take care of a child alone is an irresponsible choice? No, I just feel like it's a conscious decision. I feel like if you decide to be a single mother, you already know what you're signing up for. You know, it could possibly be difficult, but you also can choose a positive perspective and look at it as, okay, this might be harder, but at the same time, it's a lot more rewarding. You understand what I'm saying? Like when you ever felt like clapping for yourself? Namaste, honey. You ever feel like you clapping for yourself because you accomplished something on your own? Nobody had to tell you to do it. You went out there and you did it on your own, regardless to what it was, whether it was that promotion that you wanted at your job, or whether you graduated from college like you wanted to, or you passed a test, or you lost the amount of weight that you wanted. Maybe you sold the house that you wanted, or bought a brand new car. Whatever the case is, you feel like clapping for yourself. It feels rewarding, right? It's the same thing with single motherhood. Every time, like, let me tell you something. The other day I was in a grocery store, right? And this is so small to other people, but this is very big to me. This is very big to me. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. My son is 18 months old. That means he's a little over a year old. He will be 2 May 5th of next year. And so everybody knows my son's first sentence. Well, if you don't know, my son's first sentence was A is for apple. Okay? The first thing I ever heard my son say was A is for apple. And this was maybe 4 months ago. And so I celebrated that. And so from then on, it was like, okay, I'm going to start trying to teach my son other words. I'm going to teach him how to spell other things like banana, car, dog, elephant, fish, stuff like that. I'm going to teach him how to say other words. It didn't factor in my mind that by me doing this, it could teach him something else until the other day we was in a grocery store. So me and my son and my mother was in a grocery store. My mother was like 2 aisles down from me. She was looking at something else. And, I knew what she was, but me and my son was in the juice aisle. And so we're just going through the juice. We usually get cran grape. I don't know if y'all know, but that ocean spray cran grape is off the meter. Okay? Like that Jesus juice is something serious, man. It'll have you addicted, you heard me? Anyway, so that's usually the juice that we drink in my house. We usually drink cran grape. So we're going down the aisle. Now, if you ever see low budget, you ever seen low budget juice? Like, like, like off-brand juice. It always says what type of juice it is. It doesn't show you what type. Like, it doesn't have a picture of fruit on there. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you get grape juice, it doesn't show grapes. It just put grape juice. So my son points and says, apple, to the damn apple juice. Now, mind you, the apple juice don't have pictures on it. It just say apple. So I'm in the aisle screaming, he can read. And my mother's like, what? I'm like, Justice, he can read. My mother's like, I don't believe you. Guess what I had him do? I said, Justice, what's this? Apple. I was like, my son can read. Do you know how good and rewarding that felt to me? For me just to see that my son know how to read? Like, you have no idea the amount of, like, I can't explain the feeling. It's like nothing feels better than it. Nothing feels better than it. When you see your kids succeed, or you see your kids, like, have their own personal accolades and their own personal, like, things that they do, especially when you're not expecting it, it's so rewarding. And my son's father has nothing to do with why my son knows how to read. Nothing. Nothing. My son's father did not teach my son how to play ball. I did. Okay? My son's father did not teach my son how to walk. I did. All right? Nobody taught my son to do the things that he does, but me. And when I see him accomplish every single milestone in his life, it's celebratory and it's worth it. And it feels, I'm telling you, I can explain to people that don't have children what it feels like to have them. And see, because you're looking at a little version of yourself. You kind of get to see your childhood from a different perspective. You're looking at your own childhood, basically, and you get to decide how to make your own childhood better in another human being who is technically just a little version of you. That's it. And to see it, like, you got to value it in that way. Like, if you value yourself and you love yourself, when you look at your children, it's like, you're like, man, I love these people. Like, oh my God. So it's very rewarding to be a parent for those that are meant to parent, who actually want to parent, even if the plan doesn't go, even though it doesn't go as planned. Like, no person who has had a child, not a lot of people at least, were ready to have children, even if they're married. A lot of times people will tell you, when our child came, we wasn't expecting it. It just came. It came when we least expected it. She got pregnant when we least expected it. That's what most people are going to tell you, even if they're married. Trust me, that's what they're going to say. There aren't a lot of people out there who planned a pregnancy and executed that pregnancy at the exact time that they said they would. A lot of time, people who plan still don't have the children until years later, because a lot of people have fertility issues. So please don't teach your children, right? Or any other people, single mothers, single parents, that choosing to give another person life is an irresponsible choice, because that makes them devalue life. See, this goes back to the whole conversation of pro-choice, pro-life. People don't want other people to get abortions because, you want to give people a chance at life. And I say, only you know what you prepared for. Only you know what you can handle. You understand? Like, a woman, the other day I was talking to her. She had 3 kids with the same man. And her and that man weren't married. And he said to her, he was upset with the fact that she had an abortion because she just got pregnant and they would have 4 kids. But she didn't have enough money. She couldn't afford a 4th child. And here he was upset with her because she didn't have the 4th one. And so she was asking people how to feel and should she feel guilty for having an abortion. And I said to her, honey, sometimes procedures like this, like abortions and stuff like this, are classified as self-care. Because only you know what you can handle. And if you're not ready to be a mother, do not bring a child into this world. Okay? And that's a hard decision to make. I've had abortions. And all abortions I've had, I never wanted. because I always wanted to be a mother. But I would turn around and I would have an abortion because somebody else wanted me to. You understand? So all I keep telling women is if you and you know what you need, then make a conscious decision. But here, this woman's boyfriend was a man who doesn't even want to put forth the energy to marry her like she wants to. They have 3 kids together. And here he is upset with her because she decided to go get an abortion. But he not even giving her what she needs. He doesn't, first of all, they're not even in a relationship anymore. They're not married, and she wants to get married. And she's like, I cannot sit here and have a 4th child out of wedlock again after I've had 3 with the same guy. That's her choice. That's what she's choosing for her. You understand what I'm saying? So the shoe could be on the other foot. It could go either way. You know how people say choosing single motherhood is irresponsible? And then you got other people that'll say, hey, choosing to have an abortion is irresponsible when you could have just used protection or been abstinent. Because that's what I told her. I said, listen, honey, this is what I said to her. I said, listen, you know you want to be married, right? Well, you need to require more from these men. Stop having sex until you're married. You want to be married? Stop having sex until you get married. Handle it like that. Handle it like that. And trust me, it'll sift out a lot of foolishness because a lot of men not going to date women that are celibate. Anyway, so I would have bounced to how can a man provide for a family if he makes 23,000 a year? I mean, $20,000 a year is not a lot of money. Even in the city of Atlanta, $23,000 a year is not going to be much. Um, that's the minimum. I am who I am. Your son can read at 1.5. I know. I know. When I saw that my son could read, I said, oh, shit, we got what? But you know what that is? That's me teaching him how to read. I've been teaching my son the alphabet since the day he was born. My lullaby to my son was A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. The day he was born. That was my nursery rhyme. You going to bed? Okay. A, B, C, D. It wasn't, it wasn't. I guess other moms might sing other things. Me, I put my son to work immediately because I didn't want him to be, first of all, his father doesn't have a high school diploma. His father didn't go to college. For me, I went to college. I have a bachelor's degree. I have computer certifications. So for me, education is very important. Education is like just one of those things that I just want him to experience. You know how a lot of people just don't want to go to college? I didn't want to go to college when I first graduated from high school. I was so done. But then I moved to Atlanta and I went to college there. Education is important to me. So I want my son to know math. I want my son to know about economics and finances. These are all things that I'm teaching my son now. I'm teaching my son as much as I can while he's young so he can be ahead. So he can be ahead of everyone. Because even in California is one of those places where everybody's kind of advanced. The way that people live life here, they on the move. They going, they going, and going. I don't want my son behind. So I'm teaching him to be advanced. That's what I'm going to do. Are you going to homeschool him or send him to the public schools? I probably not homeschool him because I want him to have social skills. But I probably sent him to like a private school. Like, because you guys have to remember the type of schooling I had when I was young. I got the opportunity to learn with a whole bunch of people who had the same IQ I did because I had a high IQ. So I got the opportunity to be around other kids like me. So they would ship me out far away to learn. And so that's what I want for my son. I want him to be one of those kids where, he's winning national spelling bees or whatever it is that he wants to do. It doesn't have to be the average, thing that we want our kids to do. I just want good for my son. Please do not teach your children that being a single parent is okay because it's not. T Butterfly. T Butterfly said to me, please do not teach your children that being a single parent is okay because it's not. Honey, let me explain something to you. Hold on, wait. Let me explain something to you. It is up to me as a parent to teach my children right from wrong. I am not going to teach my children that being a single parent is wrong. That's dumb. That is so dumb. That's like I would never teach a child that being a single parent is wrong. It's dumb. And let me tell you why I won't teach them that. What's smarter to teach a child is how to respect the diversity of different types of families, different type of cultures, different types of upbringings. If I teach a child to only have one way of thinking, I put his mind inside a box. I do not want my son's mind inside a box. What I do want to teach my child is, both of my children, the value of family, the value of finances, the value of having faith in a higher power. Okay. I'm not going to teach them negativity, and teaching my children that single parenthood is wrong is negative. I'm a single parent. Why would I teach my child that? Now, what I do tell my daughter, I always tell my daughter, make sure that before you decide to get pregnant, that you're in a marriage first. Okay. And the reason why I want you to do that is because I want you to experience it in that order. It doesn't mean that if you choose something else is bad. It could be different, it could be harder, but bad, I wouldn't say that. That would be foolish to say because there's too many single parents out here. And it's too many single parents out here who get remarried again and they have a healthy blended family. So it's different families out there. It's different types of families. So I'm not going to teach my child that single parenting or single parents is wrong. That's like teaching my child, I don't know, just to not respect somebody because of their race or gender or sexuality. I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to, allow my son to make whatever choices he wants to make for his life as long as he's not hurting himself or anyone. I definitely will teach him not to be disrespectful towards the mothers of his children or the mother of his children, whatever ends up happening, because you never know where the world would be by the time my son gets old enough to have children, because he's only one now. So the world will probably be so different by then. I do want to teach my son to have a level of respect. I do want him to have moralistic values, you understand? But I do also respect the evolution of our planet. You understand? The evolution of how people are doing things. You know, things change. I'm not going to give him old traditional thought processes. That way he won't function well in some new age type of situation. You understand what I'm saying? He won't function well if I teach him a whole bunch of old traditional values, because the world will be moving forward without him. So I'm not going to teach him that. I'm going to teach him about diversity and the differences between people and cultures and races and things that everybody does, and to respect people when they choose something different from him, and to agree to disagree. In this world, we have too many choices. We have so many options on how we can live our lives and what we can do with our lives. Okay, so I'm not going to teach a kid to limit his options. I'm never going to do that. That's foolish to me. Um, you still procreated with who? I still procreated with who? Are you talking about my son's father? I still procreate. Yeah, I still procreated with him. And then I'm assuming you mean because I was talking about education. Okay, so I chose to still procreate with my son's father because I felt like he would be a good father. It wasn't because whether he had a college education or a high school education or whether he had money or not. It was, I felt like he would at least be a good father. If anything else, like I always thought that. I always knew, like in my mind, that he would just be a great dad. And it turns out he didn't. I was wrong about that. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was just a good person. You know how sometimes you meet people and you think even if you two end and the relationship is over, this person is still cool. You don't have to hate each other, but that's not who he is. And I didn't find that out until it was too late by then. So either way, I want to teach my son how to be a better man than his father. So of course I'm going to teach him to go to college, go to school, get his education, because education is something that's important to me. When I met Priest and I found out he didn't want a GED, he didn't have a GED, I encouraged him to get a GED. I helped him study to get his GED. He never got it. He never got it. I don't know if he has it now, but I know by last year, he still hadn't had it. He still hadn't had it. So he might still not have it now. Because to him, uh, accomplishing something like that isn't important. Accomplishing something like that is too difficult. Priest doesn't like to do things that are challenging. He gives up on himself quickly. That's the type of man he is. And I don't want my son to be that. So I have to teach my son not to be that. Someone allowed my son's father to be that. I think it's good to teach our children how important families are and tell them the statistics of kids raised by single parents. Well, I'm not going to tell my kids the statistics about being raised by single parents, because what I've noticed is a lot of children that are raised by single parents that are now adults are successful, um, owning their own businesses, financially in a good place. A lot of them are married. A lot of them are doing well, and people don't factor these people in. They just go to the hood and do their little surveys, and they come out with these statistics. They don't go look at the people who are actually, living these good lives. Think about statistical data, and I made a podcast about this before because I'm a data analyst. I made a podcast about how people need to stop listening to statistics, especially African American people, because statistics are designed for us to have a negative perspective of ourselves. There are so many things that are happening in media and news, and so much misinformation about the African American community in general. Why would you literally sit down and look at the statistics that some other people made who are outside of our culture about us and believe those things to be true when they post negative false stuff about us all of the time? They post false narratives about our community all of the time, and we see this over and over and over again in the news and media, yet still we sit here and trust their statistics as far as our community goes or Black America goes. I don't think so. I'm not teaching my son to listen to statistics. I'm going to teach my son, okay, that there are different types of families. And sometimes people come from a bad family, and it doesn't mean that the family is bad because it's a single parent there. It's because that there's something going on inside of that family. Because listen, like I said before, there are single mothers out there who raise perfectly decent human beings. Okay? And then you have people who grew up with both of their parents and they grew up to be horrible people. I mean, think about some of the serial killers out here. A lot of them grew up with both of their parents. But then you have to factor in why people grow up to be bad people. A lot of times they had abuse in the home. Just because a person is a single parent doesn't mean it's going to be abuse in the home. A lot of people grew up around alcoholism and drug abuse. Just because a person is a single parent doesn't mean that they are alcoholic or a drug addict. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Let me tell you something. I had I don't know why I try to drink. Well, I don't even know why I even haven't drank as much as I should here in California, because this is wine country. Okay, it's wineries everywhere. Okay, it's vineyards and all types of stuff everywhere. I could have been had a drink, but I try to keep it rated G. I don't drink a lot at all. I think the last time I had a drink, it might have been a month ago. So, so drinking and alcohol abuse and physical abuse and mental abuse, all of those things are the reason grew up with both of their parents. A person can grow up with one good parent and still turn out to be okay. So I think people aren't factoring in that. Why people stalking you? Child, I don't know. You got to ask those people, Jalen, the champ of content. You got to ask other people. I don't know. I don't, listen, I just want people to leave me alone. That's it. I'm not stalking anybody else. That's what you should be asking me. Like, why are people stalking you and you aren't stalking anybody? I don't care about what other people are doing with their lives and their private lives. What they do in their private lives is their business. For me, I just want people to be more open to the diversity and the things that they could change positively with their lives. That's all I want to do. What made you think he would be a good father if he never had any kids? Well, the reason why I thought my son's father would always be a good father is because the conversations that we would have about parenting. And he had a grandson, quote unquote, a grandson, because his ex-wife's daughter had a baby. And the way that he used to talk about, how he used to interact with this baby. I also saw him with his nieces, and so I thought, after seeing how he was with them, like he treated them with so much care. You know what I mean? Like I every time I saw him around them, he just seemed, I don't know, like just soft and, easy. You know what I mean? Like just that he would protect them. And so it just he just seemed, just in general, Priest just came off as like this very protective, loving, like strong, really genuinely nice person. Like that's how he came off to me. And still to this day, with me disliking him how I do, I can still say when I was with him and when I first met him, he always came off as like this guy who was like real gentle inside, but was a provider and a protector. A provider and a protector, and had the respect and manners I expected a man to have. I just thought he was a good person, and turns out he wasn't. And maybe one day he'll learn how to be a father and a friend and a husband to somebody else. You understand? And I'm trying to get to the point where I can forgive him and move on. I don't want to sit here and be mad at this guy. I don't want to think about him in that way. I just want to look at him as the father of my child, and him and my son could go have a decent relationship. And I keep my distance. I have to work towards it every day to not hate dude. And maybe one day he'll grow up and be mature, and he'll learn how to be a father, a husband, and a friend, a provider for someone else. A woman he, wants to be with, and hopefully he'll learn that. And that's all I wish for him. you know um and I only wish that because how he how Priest behaves and what he thinks and what he wants will affect my son if Priest ever comes around. Because you guys have to remember, Priest still has rights as Justice's father, and Priest does pay child support. So I can't get in the way of him being around his son. You understand? So as much as I don't like Priest and don't want him around me, I don't necessarily trust him around Justice either. But I'm willing to work on that for my son. You understand? I'm willing to work on it. And as long as um, I feel that way, and my son sees that as he grows up, he'll understand the situation. Like it won't be hard for me to teach my son what really happened. You if you said one last question, if he changed his mind and wants to be in his son's life, how would you work that out with you within being in all? Oh, with you, you're saying how would we work that out with him being in Atlanta and I'm in California? Well, when I was pregnant with Justice, right? And because you guys have to remember, it went in stages. First, when I got pregnant, Priest was happy. Like, he was all for the family man, the husband. He was in a good place. And then he started talking to some weirdos on the internet, and it started confusing him. And he started changing and being different. And he started asking me questions like, where are you going to go if you and I don't stay together? And I said, I'm going to California. I always told Priest I was going to California. He always knew that was the plan. He knew. He was supposed to come to California with me. And so he would say, well, if you're going to go to California, I'm going to come visit you. I'm going to come see you and the baby. And I said, I don't think that you're going to do that. I think you're just telling me that, because it looks to me like you don't want to be a dad. Like you're starting to act like you don't want to be a dad. So you're not going to come to California, dude. So if I was to, like, right now, I don't know who he is. Like, I don't know like, all of the different types of people he showed me he was. I don't know how to handle this. But when I was pregnant, I offered him to come in for delivery. I offered on Justice's first birthday, which was May of this year. I offered to fly to Atlanta for my son's birthday party, and Priest flat out told his family he wasn't coming, because the entire family was invited, and Priest declined the invitation and said he didn't want to go to his own son's birthday party. So for me, it's just like, I can't do anything with a man who isn't willing to put forth the energy himself. So that's something that, the world would have to ask Priest. How would Priest deal with the fact that I'm in Atlanta? I mean, he's in Atlanta and I'm in Cali. Because me, I was willing to do whatever. But now I'm at this point where he's going to have to try on his own. Like, I'm not flying to Atlanta. If he wants to see Justice, he can come out here if that's what he wants. But when I tried to come to him and tried to make things easy for him, he made life hell for me. So if he wants to meet his son and he wants to build a relationship, he's going to have to do that. So anyway, back to what I was saying. I do not feel like it was an irresponsible choice to be a single mom. I felt like I made a conscious decision to give my son a chance at life. And I feel like all women who go out here and make this choice to be a single mom, please have a little faith in yourself and confidence in yourself. And don't let other people and their perspective of reality, or them trying to compare your story to someone else's, make you question whether you can handle this or not. And again, only you know what you can truly handle. So if it really feels like being a single mother is not something that you can do, then you know what you got to do. I personally would not do abortion. I would give children up for adoption, but then again, you got to worry about the foster care system. The foster care system isn't always a good place. It doesn't always turn out well for kids in the foster care system. But you still give your child a chance at life, okay, when you do that. But if you decide you don't want to be a single mother, right, that's still a conscious decision. If you choose to be a single mother, right, not because you see some dude and he got 5 baby mamas and you want to be the one he choose over the other ones. So you have a baby with him because he making all these promises to you. No, that's just dumb. Okay, now that's the type of single motherhood that's just stupid to me. I don't know why women would choose that for themselves. I think a lot of women want to change a man. They feel like they can change a man because men have allowed women to believe that we can change them, but men change because they want to, for them. It has nothing to do with what a woman is doing. They change when they're ready to, and women have to remember that, and some men don't change. So women going out here having babies with men thinking that's going to make them stay is some other shit. That's just some foolishness. I don't know why women do shit like that, but but anyway, I don't think women should do that. So anyway, um, that's an excuse you're using to feel like it's right. What's right. Selfish. I don't know what you're talking about. You gotta speak in complete sentences, Serena. But one thing I could tell you about Miss Serena here is her negative perspective of reality is not going to affect me. Like, I don't have a negative perspective of reality. I try to have a healthy thought process. I mean, too many things are going wrong in this world for me to look at my own life and put myself through a whole bunch of pain and disappointment when I got the outside world to deal with. I'm not fucking with that. Again, have marriage does not save you. I don't know. You still not speaking in full sentences. But let me just say this again, and I thought I said this in the live stream earlier, but marriage does not save you. Ladies, stop worshiping marriage, because marriage does not save you. Like I said in a previous live stream, I'm sure, and a podcast, a lot of my girlfriends are divorced, and some of them are having issues with their ex-husbands. Some of some of the single mothers I know are remarried, and some of the single mothers I know are having a hard time even finding out where their baby daddies are. And we're just talking about ex-husband baby daddies. We're not talking about just unwed baby daddies here. We're just talking about husbands, all right, who are like missing in damn action when it comes to their children. Marriage is not going to save you. When these men want to walk away from you, they gonna walk away from you and these kids. Period. It doesn't matter whether you sign a legal document out of obligation. Personally, I don't want to be in a marriage to where I'm with a man out of obligation. I want him to be in my life because he wants to be there. And a lot of times women think if they get married and this guy signs this legal document, he going to have to stay around because it's his obligation. It was his obligation to be around with you and stick with you when he committed to the relationship. So if he couldn't even do that, what makes you think that he would have been a good husband? Listen, when men walk away from children, that's a whole nother thing. Husband and father are two very different roles. And if a man walks away from you as a husband or a boyfriend, okay, you can deal with that. But when a man walks away from being a father, something is deeply broken inside of him that marriage wasn't going to save. You can't love a person if they don't love themselves. Like, you can't love them through something if they don't love themselves. It start with them. So when these women walking around here like, oh, marriage, it would have saved me, I wouldn't be a single mother. You better go look at all these divorced women. Look on my community tab. If you go look on my community tab, it's stories from divorced single mothers who are having issues with the fathers of their children. These men don't want to pay child support. These men out here disappearing altogether. These men pinning new wives against them and new girlfriends against them. Honey, all of us, regardless to what type of single mother you are, we're all having a difficult time with some of these fathers of our children. Marriage is not going to save you if this man wants to walk away. Period, point blank. And the second these women start realizing that, they'll stop having these babies thinking it's going to help their marriage. You know, I'm not telling women to go out here and be so irresponsible where they're not financially in a good place, but they're going to go around and put themselves in a position to have children anyway. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you find yourself in that situation, don't keep crying over spilled milk, feeling sorry for your damn self. Have some self-esteem. Go out here, go find you a husband. If that's what you want, so what, you a single mother? It's going to be a man out there that's going to marry you. Uh, Listen, one man's trash is another man's treasure. That includes that man's kids. So just because you're walking around here as a single mom doesn't mean you have to sit up here and feel bad about yourself. Those traditional ways of doing stuff as far as family goes are gone. You can still have a healthy blended family. You can still have a healthy single parent family. Y'all got to start being more positive, man. Y'all thought processes are so negative, and that's what's creating a negative experience for you. Don't get it twisted. I've had negative thoughts as well. It's times where I've thought so negative, I'm like, why am I thinking like that? But every time I think negative like that, I have a negative life experience. If you want a positive experience as a single mother, as a wife, as a husband, as an ex-girlfriend, as a baby mama, as a whatever, baby daddy, whatever your position is, if you want to have a positive life, you got to start having some positive thoughts in your mind, man. Because them negative thoughts is what's making your life experience horrible. What you think about yourself and your perspective of reality. People are doing the best that they can with what they know. And a lot of times the stuff that they saying is a reflection of their belief system. And you know just as well as I do, a lot of people walking around here with this warped belief system, man. Their belief system be ridiculous. It's people out here who are Christian, and you got and people looking at them like, oh my God, this person is crazy because they're over judgmental. Then you got atheist people out here who are super judgmental of everything everybody does. So honestly, it doesn't matter where you come from, what you look like, what your relationship status is, whether you're married, whether you're divorced, whether you got single kids, whether you're poor, whether you're rich. None of that matters at the end of the day if you have a negative perspective of reality, because all of that shit gonna look bad to you. Even marriage is gonna look bad to you. You think you're gonna get in a marriage, you think you're gonna get happy. Once you get inside of that marriage, you're gonna start finding a whole bunch of things that's wrong with the marriage. It's because that's your perspective of reality. And with this Sarita person, I'm seeing that this person just has a negative perspective of reality right now. It's not, it could be she having a bad day. Her cycle could be on, if all I know. Shit. I don't know what's going on. I try not to be too judgmental of people when they come into my live chat, but I do want people to understand something. I respect everybody and the choices that they make for their life. And sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we do that. But the mistake is a lesson, not a life sentence. So if you are a single mother and you regret being one, learn the lesson. Next time you get in a relationship with somebody, don't have sex with them till you get married. You didn't make the choice the first time. If you want to be married, that's fine. Be married. Go be married. But don't push your message on everybody else and expect everybody else to do what you do, because that's your value. Everyone else has a difference in opinion. Everybody else has a different order of operations. It's men out there, like, say for instance, Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper didn't marry his baby mama until after she was his baby mama. Some people do it in a different way. It's women out there who was a baby mama first. They had two kids together and then they turned around and they got married. Some people didn't marry their baby daddy and they just found a whole new husband, and this husband happens to be a stepfather to their kids. So each person is different, and it's okay if you didn't handle things the way that everybody else handled it. You know what I'm saying? I just explained how you a negative person for feeling it, because you coming in here with darkness. Like, I can feel your energy. Like, this is what people keep forgetting about me. And this is why I want people to who watch me to learn. I'm an empath, right? And I don't talk a lot about being an empath. I don't talk a lot about spirituality. Because anytime I talk about spirituality, there are people who are soulless who start trying to have the conversation about spirituality. And you can't have a spiritual conversation to someone who's soulless. They can't understand it. But what I do is, when I'm looking into my chat and I'm having a discussion, I'm looking for your energy. I'm not even looking at what you're saying, really. I'm trying to feel where you are. That's what you do when you're having a communication. You're communicating with somebody, when you're doing dialogue. I'm trying to see past these words that you're putting in here. I'm trying to see what your energy is. I'm feeling for that. I'm feeling into the universe for that. So, Sarita, when you're talking to me in this chat and I'm just reading your words, what I'm trying to do is get a feel of what you're truly trying to say. And what it seems like to me is, you're a single mother, right? And you feel bad about that. I don't know nothing about no witchcraft, boo. I don't know nothing about that. Now, I don't know nothing about that. I wish I kind of did so I can know how to avoid it, but I don't know nothing about that. Now, what you coming off as, the type of energy that you giving, all right, the type of vibe that you giving me is that you feel some sort of way about being a single mom. You feel guilty about that. Okay, and it's a lot of women out there that feel guilty about that because they feel like they should have did it in a certain way, and they feel like if they did it in a certain way, they would have had a better outcome. And a lot of people believe that. A lot of people believe, listen, 1 plus 1 is 2. And I don't know your situation with the father of your child. That could have been it. But my guess is, if he's not there for your child, with you being a single mom, he wasn't going to be there for your child even if you two got married. Because when men abandon their children, they do that for them. It has nothing to do with you. It has something to do with them and what they are experiencing. You understand? So when people try to make you feel bad or if you're feeling bad yourself about being a single mother or raising a child alone because it might be hard, it gets difficult sometimes, it's because you're thinking about the bad parts that come with being a single mother. Because it can be hard. I be tired sometimes. I'm a mom. I'm tired. Sometimes I want some time to myself. Sometimes I don't feel like being bothered. Sometimes I just want to go to sleep. Sometimes I just want to lay in the bed and watch Netflix. But my son ain't gonna let me do that all the time. You feel what I'm saying? And my son like, anyway, mommy, play with me, play with me, play with me, play with me. You know what I mean? Like, and so sometimes being a single mother is hard. But it's not impossible. You know what I'm saying? It's not one of those things like, oh, I can't bear it. I'll just die if I'm a single mother for one more moment. No. It's just, I don't know. Okay, like I said, you saying it right here. You said, had I raised my son with a husband, things would have been better for him and I. How do you know that? How do you don't know that? You could have got married. Let's say, for instance, you did get married. What if your husband was a drunk? What if he was abusing you? What if he was a cheater? What if he was a liar? What if he was a drug addict? You know what I'm saying? You never know. Like, it could, you never know. Each situation is different. Just because you would have had a husband, it doesn't mean your situation would have been better. And a lot of people will try to convince you of that. Trust me, if it was meant to be that way, it would have just been that way. God does not make mistakes. This is a lesson to teach you something else. Learn it. Learn it and stop yourself in like this life. Like, you putting yourself in prison. I tell people all the time, you can put yourself in prison, man. You can put yourself in mental prison. You know, you got enough freedom and you got enough power and free will and mental capability to put yourself in a mental prison. That's how strong you are as a person. And that's what you're sitting here doing. You're putting yourself in a prison. You're giving yourself a life sentence for making a decision that was conscious, all right? But you want to classify it as irresponsible, right? That's how you're classifying it. You get to define it, no one else. It's in your life, okay? What we think about you ain't your business. What we think about you does not affect your life. What you think about you does. You get to define the things in your life. If you define it as a bad thing, it's going to continuously be a bad thing. If you define it as a life sentence, it continue to be a life sentence. But if you define it as something else, it would affect your life in a completely different way. And a lot of people think they don't have that power, but you do. That's how much power, that's how much will you have. You have the power to independently think and handle your life the way that you want to. If you don't like the way things are, change it for the better. Change what you can and make peace with what you can't. Or you're going to drive yourself crazy. You need to make peace with your situation. You need to accept the fact that you're a single mom. Because I know for me, I was struggling with it. Because I wanted to be married. Like I said, me and my son's father, we talked about marriage. We talked about being together. We had the conversation. We talked about it. Not just once, over and over and over. And I knew he was in love. You hear me? I knew. It was like with every fiber of my being, no one could tell me that this man wasn't in love with me and wanted to be my husband and had kids together. No one could tell me that. He didn't want it. Like, no one could have convinced me of that but him. And when I finally found out the truth about him, I was shocked. And the first thing I said to him, he was sitting directly in front of me. I said, don't you dare make me a single mother. Those are my exact words. I said, don't you dare make me a single mother. And when I said it, it was, don't you dare sit here and abandon me with a child. It wasn't just, oh, don't you sit here and go back on the word of marrying me. Don't you sit here and not keep your word, man. Why would you play with my life like that? I was really upset with this dude because I really wanted my son to have two parents because I wanted to experience that as well. I didn't want that just for my son. Wanted to experience having a husband, having a family, that type of family. Now, I have a 19-year-old. Tend, some people know that. I have a 19-year-old. Me and my daughter's father, my 19-year-old, people, if you saw us out somewhere, you would automatically think we're married. That's how cool we are. We look like a family. Like we just go out and people just argue so we're together because we cool like that. You can tell there's love between us. We have a level of respect for each other as human beings, as mommy and daddy. So it kind of feels like a family. It's a different kind of family, but it's still a family. You can go look for yourself. It's videos up. The last video I just said is the last video up. We went out to Santa Cruz Boardwalk Beach. What we look like? A happy family, right? We ain't married, but we agreed to co-parent. We agreed to put things to the side. So just because you're not married doesn't mean it's not a family. And a lot of people think because they're not married or they're in a single parent, it's not a family. No, it's still a family. It's still like okay, my son, my daughter, my daughter's father, my daughter's boyfriend, my mother. That's my family. Still feels like a family. You can look at it, still see a family. So don't think that just because you're not married, it's no longer a family. That's what people think is no longer, it's a broken family. No. Yo, we love each other the same. We love each other just like if it was mommy, if we were married. It's the same. My son, my daughter's father treats my son like it's his son. My daughter's father is just a family oriented person. When you're dealing with family oriented people, it becomes just family. It's I'm sorry. How you define your family is up to you. I'm not trying to tell you how to define your family. I'm sorry. I don't want you to think that. But I'm just trying to tell y'all that there are different types of family. And just because you are a single parent doesn't mean your family is bad or worse than another. If you're single and you're tired of being lonely and you're tired of raising a child alone, or you could have went and got married. You know, you could go out there and find you a guy and date and get married. You know, just because you didn't marry the person that you wanted to, maybe you still in love with your daughter's father or your son's father or whatever the case is. You can still find somebody out there to marry you. Come on now, we all got more than one soul mate. You know, we all got different people we connect with. So just because you ain't connect with one relationship don't mean you ain't never gonna find another man. You want to still be married, go be married. If you feel like you need a husband, that's terrible. But I'm not gonna say that's a good thing. But if you know what you need for you, you felt like you needed a husband in order to help you raise a child. I don't know what to tell you because a lot of people like, yo, if you need a baby daddy in order to like if you living off child support, I did a video about this and I'm gonna post it I think tomorrow. If you feel like the only way you can survive is if a man around, or the only way you can raise your kid is if some man is around to help you, then you're right. Maybe you shouldn't have been a mom. Only you know what's best for you. But I bet you your child don't think that. I bet you your child sitting somewhere like, yo, I love my mom. Like, daddy who? You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom is my everything. She didn't need it. We didn't need him. I had her. I don't know. I think people just think too negatively about it, but that's just my opinion. I gotta go, y'all. I got shit to do. Have vision and stay focused. Namaste.